Brown University shooting updates. We have Donald Trump cutting trans funding and inflation cools. We'll be covering everything and a lot more here on the Bald Brad Show. It's good to see all of you folks. Hopefully you're having a lovely morning. We have a lot of stuff to cover for you. If you could hit that like and subscribe button, that's always appreciated. I know it's thrown at you by basically every influencer podcaster out there, but for a small grassroots channel like us that do it as a hobby, would greatly appreciate that thumbs up button because it really does help promote our channel, and it pushes our content out to new viewers who haven't seen our content or our channel, and it allows us to grow naturally and organically, which is always appreciated. Well, we have a bunch of news for all of you this fine morning. It's good to see you, Steve, Miriam. We got the whole brigade dropping in. We have the Brown MIT killer and the immigration program nobody wants to talk about coming up in our lead story here. So by now, most Americans have seen the headlines that the man responsible for the murders of 2 students at Brown University and a professor at MIT is dead. But what you probably haven't heard, or I suppose maybe even like not really emphasized, is how this man got here, why it matters, and why the media is already trying to move on. Because this story doesn't just involve violence, it involves policy, believe it or not. And that makes people uncomfortable. Well, on Thursday, authorities confirmed that, what's his name? Claudio Manuel Neves Valente. I don't know why you have to throw in both middle names, by the way. 48, deleted himself inside a storage locker he had rented in New Hampshire. Police say Valente was responsible for the deaths of 2 students at Brown University, the killing of an MIT professor who was found deleted earlier this week in Brookline, Massachusetts, or Brookline. This wasn't a random spree, and it wasn't impulsive. It was targeted and it was deliberate. So who was this individual, this Mr. Valente? And this is where the story kind of gets more revealing. And there is a lot of conspiracy theories out there. I don't like to peddle conspiracy theories. I'll tell you every once in a while what people are saying, and I think it's a conspiracy theory, but I like to go with kind of just what's out there, what's in the news. And then once the more evidence comes out, we'll make our judgment call then. Valente originally came from Portugal. He attended Brown University in the early 2000s as a PhD student, but never completed the program. And that detail matters because authorities say Valente also attended the same academic program in Portugal as MIT professor, the one that he deleted as well. The same professor that was later found in the home. So clearly this was not some sort of random violence going on. This was someone with a long academic history, potentially some unresolved grievances, and personal proximity to at least one of his victims. And yet, for years, he remained in the United States. Well, how did a guy from Portugal get here? A little odd, right? And this is the part the media is always trying to minimize. Nobody wants to seem to talk about it because it goes against the narrative. According to Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, Valente entered the United States in 2017 through the Diversity Lottery Immigrant Visa Program, known as DV1. Let's be very clear about what that means, because this was not asylum. That's what they'll tell us, right? Right, Chad? Oh, it was asylum. Oh, he was seeking refugee status. No, he wasn't. It was not refugee status. Oh, well, he was here for his skills and his knowledge. He has a PhD in probably nuclear physics. No, it's not. It wasn't even a skills-based visa. So it wasn't asylum. It wasn't refugee status, and it wasn't skills-based visa. This was a lottery system. It was literally pulling his name out of a hat. It was a random draw that granted him a green card. And now 3 Americans are deleted. This is what happens when you're lax on immigration, folks. This is what happens when you don't vet people. This is what happens when you don't let in the best of the best. Thursday night, yesterday, Kristi Noem announced that a President Trump direction, at the direction of the president, the DV1 program has been paused. You want to know why? Because the administration isn't pretending this is unrelated is why. This is a case that has become a live example of why critics have warned for decades, like all of us, and all of you that lottery-based immigration system lacks meaningful vetting, long-term oversight, and accountability. It's not difficult. It's common sense. And I know we say this all the time. Common sense is gone. There is none anymore. Clearly. It's like, let's just act stupid. I got to make shirts. Let's just be stupid. Let's pretend to be stupid. Let's act stupid. Let's, just stupid on the shirt. Why the story won't say any of this in the headlines? That's what we're going to cover next. You got to ask yourself a simple question here. If this man had entered the country illegally, if this were some sort of border story, or if this involved a different visa category, would the coverage look different, you guys? Because I think it would. Oh boy, do I think it would. But because this involves legal immigration, an elite academic environment, a long-standing federal program that's supposed to give credibility to the program and how successful it is, and a policy Democrats reflexively defended, the story just kind of goes off in the wind, right? It's like, woo. I mean, it's out there. Don't get me wrong. Brown University, MIT, pretty much stops there. The murders will be framed as these isolated tragedies, even though there is connections between the two. The system will not be scrutinized whatsoever, and the program will be defended as rarely problematic. There's a few bad seeds. Yeah, there's always one, and, there's one bad seed in the apple or whatever it is. That phrase that they like to use. There's potentially two suspects. Yes, Chris, they are looking at other people. I can only give you what I have, folks. Things are always changing. Calm down. Okay, everybody calm down. I'm one man, Chris. Okay? Always coming at me. I love you. All right, this isn't about every immigrant, though, because this always gets twisted. This is not about demonizing immigrants. I always feel like I have to say that. Not all immigrants are bad. Everybody knows that. Not all illegal aliens are inherently bad. They're not evil people. Not all of them. Some of them definitely are. A lot of them truly probably are that came here illegally. But there's definitely some really, really good ones. It's not about nationality. It's not about race. I know that's common sense, but again, common sense is gone. This is policy design. It's a lottery system that, and here's some bullet points, grants permanent residency randomly, without long-term behavioral review, without academic or employment follow-through, without accountability when people drop out, disengage, or spiral. It's not compassionate. It's reckless, is what it is, and we all know it. Would you do that with you guys at your home? Yeah, you got a few kids. Yeah, you got a bunch of youngsters, 6, 7 years old, and you're looking for a babysitter. And anybody can apply. Oh, no. Anybody's going to apply. Yep. And you're going to do a lottery system. Mm-hmm. No vetting. No. I want to be clear here. Anybody can apply to live in your home, eat your food. You have to actually pay them money, and they will maybe watch your kids and have a little one-on-one time with the kiddos. Mm-hmm. We're gonna put everybody's name in a hat. You don't know who they are. You know nothing, zero about them. And the first name we pick is the name that you are gonna get living with you, and they're gonna watch your kids one-on-one. Just a show of hands, who would love that? Who would love that? Who would want them to do that? Let's just say a terrorist popped in there. You know what I mean? Yeah, after a while, we looked into the guy, and he's hooking up with like 5-year-olds in the Middle East, and, he has a bunch of other wives that are like 9 years old. Turns out your kid's 9. Democrats think that's okay. People change. He's a good guy. He's a Maryland man. I'm not attributing it to the Maryland man, to be clear, but you know what I mean by that. By saying, he's a good guy. They just got to him. Oh, those tattoos are nothing. What do you guys think in the chat? I'm looking over at you. What do y'all think? I think I know what you think. Yeah, hell nah, exactly. I wouldn't trust them with my cat. There you go. Love that. Damn right. So 3 people are dead. The killer is deleted. Guy didn't even have the cojones to face his actions, had to delete himself. And now comes the part that actually matters. Will Congress revisit the diversity visa program? Will the media ask hard questions? I don't know why I threw that one in there, to be personally honest. This is when you know when I'm doing show prep, I have a little like lapse of judgment. I pulled a Joe Biden. If you missed that part, so I have some questions that need to be proposed, right? One of them is, will the media ask hard questions? No. You know what? Let me delete that one really quick. Why do I even have that in my show notes? What an idiot, Brad. There we go. Why policymakers admit that randomness is not a screening strategy? Or will this be kind of filed away as another tragic anomaly, a one-off, another name added to the list, another story we were told nothing to do with the system that enabled it? Sorry, it was late. We didn't do Dark Mag yesterday. There's a whole thing with that. I wasn't able to get to it. I apologize. It's the end of the semester. Things are busy. Things are wild. Just thank you for bearing with me. The media asking hard questions. Hey, Mr. President, what's your favorite ice cream? What you eating there, big guy? Sure, you nut jobs. You ain't asking any hard questions. You'll ask it to Trump. Oh, yeah, you'll ask him all the hardball questions, but none to the Democrats. President Trump made his move and he paused the program, which I appreciate. Now, the real test is whether anyone else has the courage to follow through, or whether this, too, will disappear once it becomes politically inconvenient because the news cycle changes every, 20 minutes. Will the media ask tough questions? Brad, good one. You must be practicing for your comedy set. I appreciate that. Thanks, Craig. I am. As long as you guys are laughing, I'm happy. We have to have fun here. You know what's funny is, I always bring up the idea that you have to laugh at politics or else you go crazy. I was watching Tim Pool the other night. He was saying the exact same thing and they were laughing and had a good time. And I was like, this is how things are supposed to be. That's why I've always enjoyed Michael Knowles a lot, because Michael Knowles has that same exact same exact kind of viewpoint on politics as I do. It needs to be comical or else you're going to drive yourself crazy. I mean, there is so much evil out there in the world. You just gotta laugh. I find it hilarious. I really do. I laugh at politics way more, vastly more than I ever do get upset with it, because I can't change anything. You can't. And you'll drive yourself nuts. Thank you, Miss Mom. Miss Mom says, I love Brad's laugh. Well, I love you. I love you. All right, here we go. So, Jesus. I can't believe you guys put up with me. February is going to be 2 years. Almost. It's basically been 4 years and 10 months almost to the day since we started doing this hobby. And I'm still having fun. Don't get me wrong. You have your down days, you have your down times, but I still have a damn good time. And I've always said this, even if I have one viewer, I'd be acting the same way. I just crack up. I used to do shows where I was talking to nobody. I think people forget that. It's great that we got, 1,000. We basically get about 1,000 people watching every podcast. That's awesome. That's great. I think we're gonna bump those numbers up next year. I think so. I think we're going back to our grassroots where Brad starts not fucking around anymore. Which is true, by the way. But yeah, when I was talking to nobody, man, I was doing the same crap. I was just trying to make myself laugh. Yeah, I missed you guys too. I'm sorry, Candy. Yeah, it's just, you guys know me. If I can't do something, I just can't do it. Yeah, I gotta take care of myself. And again, it's our hobby. I don't do this as full time, so you got to make sure that you take care of your stuff first. That bring it in the moolah, bring it in the fedia, the chowder, the hamandana. Where are we at? You guys are getting me confused. Settle down in the chat. All right, here we go. All right, this one's actually big. This one is a big win. I would say, and some of you might disagree here, but this is a huge win that happened yesterday. And I would say even if we didn't get illegal immigration and we didn't get a lot of the stuff like the big, beautiful bill, for me, this one thing kind of outweighs all of that. And we ended the year here off with a big W, you guys. And I'm not being a smart aleck. I'm not exaggerating. I really do mean this, because Donald Trump has pulled the plug. No, not on Joe Biden. Stop it. The federal funding line of trans treatments for minors. No federal dollars for kids' trans procedures anymore. Thank you, Mr. President. This whole thing was always horrific to me. I hate when people inject like Hitler-esque things or like Nazi Germany or stuff like that. But it is hard for me to remove, what they did in Auschwitz and these other death camps and concentration camps, and not assimilating it to this whole thing with the experimentation and mutilation of children. It's hard for me to separate that, and I am really not one to throw that World War II stuff in people's faces with Hitler and Nazi, because Mao also did evil things, Stalin, Pol Pot, like all these other people have done really heinous things. So I think you're beating a dead horse with the whole Hitler thing, but that is truthfully what goes to my mind when I think about a thing like this, where you're just mutilating and castrating children. Isn't it funny? And I'm being silly with my words, but isn't it silly that the same people that think that a 5-year-old can choose their gender and they can just switch back and forth, that they're mature enough at 5 years old, I'm not kidding, that can choose their gender? For sure, up to like second or third grade, they've said this. They've shown them how to masturbate and use butt plugs and condoms in a second, third grade New Jersey classroom, which we covered years ago, through the use of cartoons. They're showing this in the classroom, by the way. They can make those decisions at like a second grade level, but yet when they're 18, 19, 20, taking out $100,000 student loan, oh, well, they didn't know what they're doing. They're just kids. You can't really expect them to pay this back for a lesbian dance theory degree, can you? Oh, college is a scam. They were tricked. They were lied to. They were promised a job. Wait, so the same people that tell me that a kid is mature enough at second grade to just be able to choose whatever gender they want because they feel like something, even though they don't know what it feels like because they've never been in that situation before. Like, I don't know what it's like to have a period or to have a menstrual cycle. I don't. I can think I do, and I can maybe guess, but nah, I don't know what it's like. I know they have that thing that you could put on you that mimics it or whatever, but I don't know what it's like. And I grew up with women, by the way, vastly more women than men. The fact that I came out as a straight guy and a conservative, growing up with a bunch of women and estrogen around me, is actually a miracle, believe it or not. It really is, now that I think about it. But anywho, those people are telling me that those 5, 10 years old, 16 years old, oh, well, no, they can make those decisions. But when it comes to taking out a student loan, oh, yeah, they can't do that. Okay. Well, back to the news here. This is one of those policy moves that draws a bright, unmistakable line. The Trump administration has officially, thank you, baby Jesus, cut off federal funding for hospitals that perform transgender medical interventions on minors. And it's not symbolic, it's structured. If a hospital wants Medicare, Medicaid, or CHIP money, there are now procedures it simply cannot perform on children. Thank you, God. And I really do mean that. Man, this was so wild to me. I've always said, once you turn 18, if you want to lop that PP off or whatever you want to do, it's your body, have at it, go crazy, cut your arms off for all I care. It's not my life. We've kind of get into this society a little bit, like this perception. And I've seen this definitely as an educator where educators will care about more of a student's grade than the actual student is. And you're expected as an educator to do everything you can to help that student's grade get inflated, basically. But that student doesn't have to do anything anymore. And that you're supposed to care more about somebody else's situation than even your own situation of what you got going on in your life. And by the way, it's like that. You all know what I'm talking about. It's definitely like that at your workplace. It's like that everywhere, where all of a sudden we have to care about somebody else's issues more than what's going on in your own life, even though the issues that are going on in your life objectively are a lot harsher and a lot worse than what's going on in the other person's life. But you have to pretend that the other person's situation is way more worse than yours. And you have to put your life on hold and take care of their situation. Now, in some ways, that's actually justifiable and it does make sense in some cases. But the point I'm trying to make here is that we're supposed to somehow bend the knee and get on our hands and pray that those people don't lop off their genitals and whatever's going on in their life. And we must beg them to not do it. No. That's not how it works. I don't want you to do it. I think you have some major mental obstacles and trials that you need to overcome. And I think the power of prayer, I think the Bible, I think Christ, and meditating on it and really praying about it and researching it and going really in depth might help Maybe not. But at the end of the day, if you want to cut off your arms, your legs, you want to be a quadriplegic, you want to scalp your head off, I don't know. I'm libertarian on it. It's not my life. I truthfully don't really care all that much. There is a sense of empathy in there, of course, with any human being of like, I don't think you should. I want you to seek out the help. But at the end of the day, I got my own life. I got my own stuff to worry about. You want to lop off your pee-pee? Go right ahead. Just, you can't come back later and say, oh, well, start complaining to me. I don't have time for that. I don't. I'm sorry. It's terrible. You shouldn't have done it. I'm sorry. I told you so. Move on. But when you're dealing with children, that's a different story. And they're always changing and manipulating the way that they talk. And one thing I want you all to listen for when you hear all these trans people talk on the steps of the Capitol or whatever, that's fine if they want to be trans. I'm not gonna judge them for it. They're going through something. I got my own sins, man. You people, look, we're all gonna experience Judgment Day when we see the Lord. I ain't judging that person's going through something. I think it's a little odd. I think it's a little freaky deaky. I call it cross-dressing, whatever. But these trans activists use the term young people. And I don't know if you all have caught on to that. Because when you refer to young people, well, 25's young. Some people, I'm 36. Some of you say that's young according to you, and you'd be right. I think that's still young. I think you're kind of in your prime. But that's what they do, because nobody in their right mind would think, like Michelle's saying here, a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old or a 16-year-old, their brain isn't fully developed, meaning that frontal lobe is not capable in most situations to be able to recognize and calculate that the current action they're taking has a long-term effect later on in life. They're not able to do it, by the way. Now, even that frontal lobe isn't really fully developed, depending on, people, about 25. So that decision-making processing that's happening in your brain is like a short circuit, hasn't even been connected yet. And you're like, oh yeah, you're a girl. Yeah, we should enable that behavior. No, that's genius. That's genius. So anyways, that's the phrase they're using as young adults, because then there's a little bit of compassion there. Well, young people should be able to make their own decisions. No, not anybody under 18. Mm-mm. No, that's why we don't allow that, because we understand as adults, because we don't pretend. And you want to know something? A lot of Democrats are behind this too, by the way. It's just that the left has taken over that party, and the party hasn't recognized it yet, and they're just embracing it. In the same way the West is embracing invasion. You saw that with the UK is gone. Okay, our boys over there, Shib and the gang over there, they're gone. Shib, your country has fallen, my friend. I'm sorry. And we're trying to fight back with immigration here. You guys need to fight back with immigration there. And I'm serious as a heart attack, man. Your country's gone, dude. And it's sad because I got family over there. Half my family's in the UK, in England specifically. The funding switch. So what changed here? Under the new rules, hospitals that perform puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, or gender-related surgeries on minors will be barred from participating in Medicare and Medicaid. Medicaid's Children's Health Insurance Program, CHIP, will also be prohibited from funding trans procedures for anyone under 19. CMS is enforcing this not as a suggestion, but as a condition of participation. And what that kind of means is, well, you perform these procedures or you receive no health care federal dollars, basically. Yeah, shout out to Shib. We haven't seen Shib in a while, but, I don't blame Shib for not coming in. One, he's busy, and he's a longtime supporter of the show. He's over there. He brings in we got a lot of people watching from the UK because of that guy. And, you got to be careful what you say on social media. They'll throw you in jail. We've said this before. Our boys over there in the UK, I'm here in the United States. We got a lot of patriots over in the United Kingdom. We got Australia. We got people all over the world watching this show. And I don't blame them for not writing the chat and being lurkers, man. They'll throw you in the jail. And we thought Shib was in jail for a while because he went MIA. We were worried about the guy. I literally thought he was behind bars for the stuff that he might have said in the show here. Yeah, they'll just throw you in jail. I think they're up to like 14,000 people now have been thrown in jail for things they've said on social media. Not even bad things, by the way. The things that we're talking about here, you're thrown in jail. It's nuts. So shout out to everybody over there in the United Kingdom. You guys got to fight back. I don't mean literally fight, right? You need to get out there, man. You need to look. Your country's fallen, dude. The West over there is fallen. We used to look at them as I don't know if we could rely on them, man. And we're going in the same direction. So's the French. You're seeing Western civilization pretty much fall. I need to write a book on that. That's something I would really love to flesh out. Anyways, okay. Why this is different from past fights. So this isn't like Congress debating the issue. This isn't a court issuing an injunction. It's not even a press conference, really. This is an administrative power being used the way it has always been. And they're doing it through federal funding. The federal government has long conditioned healthcare funding on compliance with standards. And most things are like this. From abortion is another example, or like, what's another one? Like the restriction on the Hyde Amendment. Taxpayer money comes with rules. And when you don't want to follow the rules, guess what? You don't get money. There used to be punishment. And that's why we always have to act stupid here, is because when you get punishment, you have to be like, what? What? And it's only going to get worse. The what? Oh my God, what? It's going to get worse because you have not only the current generation that's graduated over the last 2-3 years. I have friends in human resources. They know exactly what I'm talking about. You have anything after millennial, you're talking an exponential function of completely baffled when there's consequences that are associated to their actions. You want to know how I know this? I know very close people that are in human resources. I have friends that are in human resources. I have friends that are partners in major accounting firms that see the new clientele that's coming in terms of employees. And I'm also in the education system. And I also have people that associate with, they're still doing their PhD and stuff like that are seeing the effects of all this stuff. People nowadays are baffled when something happens to them. They can't believe it. I have friends that actually own restaurants and running restaurants that are hiring these new generations. And I'll give you a prime example. I'm not going to say what the restaurant is. I heard this from the horse's mouth. There's an individual, and they told the teenager, I think they're 18, 19, to go take out the trash. This was at a restaurant. This is their boss, by the way, that's telling them to take out the trash. This is like the boss of the boss. This is like the head honcho, the big enchilada, the whole tamale. Boss says, hey, I need you to take out the trash. No. And obviously the boss is dumbfounded, like, no, I need you to take out the trash. Like right now, the boss is being nice. Like maybe they think the kid screwed with them. No, I need you to take out the trash. I don't feel like it. Have somebody else do it. This is almost a verbatim story, by the way, almost verbatim in terms of words. Well, I'm telling you to take out the trash. I need you to do it now. No, I don't think I want to do it. There's a lot of other people that are capable of doing it. You should go ask one of them. So you know what the response was? You can go home. And don't come back. And you want to know something? Based on what we're talking about, do you think the kid was like, oh, or I should say kid, the adult, right? We call it 16-year-old kids. I mean, really, you guys, like they're turning into adulthood, in my opinion. They just want it. Just when you call them kids, we get to act stupid, and it gives them an out to act stupid. I was watching Dennis Prager's video last night, and I thought he made a great point. In Judaism, there's this when you turn 13 in the Jewish community, you turn into adulthood. I didn't know that. That's your transition into adulthood, and that you can't blame other people for your actions anymore. I loved it. It totally spoke to me. I was like, that is a great thing for young men to enter adulthood and be treated like a man at 13, where you don't get to make stupid decisions. You don't get to blame your parents for the stupid decisions that you're making. You make stupid decisions, you own them at 13. I loved it. And I'm not even Jewish. I'm Christian. Yeah. So the kid was fired, completely mind blown. What? Oh my gosh. It's like, no, you can go home. Yeah, you're out. That's how things need to be handled nowadays. None of this stupid stuff like, oh, I get it. Like, yeah, you learned your ways. You didn't think you'd be fired. No. Because they've gone 13 years, from 5 years old to 18 years old in the education system with zero consequences. You want to know the consequence they receive in the education system nowadays for not doing and following the rules? You get to pick up trash. Yeah, you have to pick up 10 pieces of trash at lunch. Oh, wow. What a punishment. Oh, yeah, you plotted an entire assassination attempt on a teacher, which I've talked about before. Very good friend of mine in Nevada. Oh, you plotted an entire attack to kill my friend who was a teacher in 5th grade, by the way. They have the text messages off the Chromebooks, hundreds of messages of how they're going to do it, the day they were going to do it, where they're actually going to shoot him, how they were going to assault him, how they were going to terrorize him. 5th graders. DA didn't prosecute. I'm not kidding. My friend showed up to work the next day and the kids were in the classroom with him. He walked off the job. That is a hand to God true story. I was blown away. Very, very, I still talk to him. He follows the show, by the way. Nothing happens to these kids anymore, you guys. And so you're going to have an entire generation that is baffled when there's consequences that are happening. I was like, how the hell did I get here? Thank God. I love that I started doing show notes again. Taxpayer money comes with rules. It comes with consequences. You don't want to follow the rules, you get the hell out. You're fired. Is that why you guys were saying that in the chat? Is that why Sharon was saying that? Sharon, is that why? You're fired. Was everybody doing the Trump voice and I just didn't pick up on it? Oh, there you go. Miss Mom's asking. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Sharon's like, I sure did. we have too much fun. It's not, there's a rule. We should not be, we're not allowed to have this much fun, you guys. We are not. Yeah, it's 5th grade. That's a real story, by the way. It was so, don't get me going. We covered it here on the show in the past. I've talked about it many times, but we have too much fun here. We got to settle down. YouTube doesn't like us having fun. Rumble does. I wish Rumble would promote us more. We're one of the top podcasts in the morning, by the way, on Rumble. We should be the top, in my opinion. Teachers get offended when you mention bringing back the paddle. It's a little weird. I do not want to hit anybody's kid. It's not my kid. Again, I am very much hands off. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. It's people's lives. Like, for example, I'll give you a prime example. Like, there was this notion or this vibe that I was getting one year when I was teaching personal finance. That when you teach it, I'm very passionate about the course because it's one of the few courses I think in education where you can actually change somebody's life. Not that you couldn't do that in other ways. Usually that comes from like, oh, you really helped them with something and that really gave them the stimulant that they needed to pursue an education or a degree. They didn't think that they could have the skills and capabilities of like mathematics, for example. And then they become a math major and they're successful and then you change their life. Like you could have those things. But I mean, in terms of like really making sure somebody's okay, personal finance is one of the few courses in education that's like, you're making a really big impact on somebody's life. And I firmly believe it. And so I practice what I preach. It's a tough class for me to educate on and teach because I care so much that when you get knuckleheads in there that just don't care, it frustrates me because it's like, this is so important and you're not even picking up on how important it is, even though I'm like pleading with you to see how important all this is. Well, sometimes they think because they see that passion from you that this is really important. You need to know how to budget. You should be doing budgeting on paper. You should follow the monthly budget. Here's how taxes work. Let's look at the behavioral economics of all the psychology of why you spend money. Let's look at a grocery store and see how they manipulate you in purchasing certain products that are more expensive and looking at name brand versus, off brand and that they're the same exact packaging from the same exact facility that have different conveyor belts with the same exact food, all these things. What they seem to get into, not everybody, but what I've found is that going back to the idea is that some people and students think that you will be bothered by how they live their life and spend their money. Does it make sense? So if I say, hey, you need to budget, you shouldn't spend on frivolous stuff, like just kind of what people do, blah, blah, blah. Well, when they go and spend their money on stupid stuff, it's almost like they think it's funny and it's like they'll try to antagonize you. And so one time I had to say, I'm like, I don't mean to be rude here. There is an element of your teacher caring. Don't get me wrong. I care and I want you guys to be successful. It's why I like this course. But if you want to act like a knucklehead and spend all your money, if you want to drive yourself into debt, I don't think you should. But kind of like with the trans thing, hey, it's your life, man. If you don't want to follow anything in this course, that's on you. I don't know why you're in here, but that's your prerogative. And it sounds bad. It's going to sound very harsh on what I said, but it still holds true. I don't really care what you do. I can't, you guys. In the same way, I love hanging out with you. Hey, there you go. C. DeMar is on Rumble now. Appreciate you. Thanks for converting over. Conversion. But you can't do that to people. Like, you can't care more about somebody's life than your own. And so that's what I mean by it. It's like, look, if you don't want to take any of this seriously, it's your life, man. And that's kind of the problem with a lot of the stuff that we're seeing is the lack of care and expecting somebody else to care more about, said something. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but it holds true in a lot of facets of society and a lot of industries and a lot of things. And you're going to see that more and more now that I told you guys. Yeah, if you want to screw around with it's your life. I don't care. By the way, I'm not going to remember half these people in like 20 years. I wish you nothing but the success. I've always said that. If you ever need any advice or any help, I'm always here for you. But it's the same thing here. Like, you'll drive yourself crazy. You want to cut off your head, man? I don't think you should, but it's there for you. Okay, where were we? Jeez, well, Lisa went off on a tangent. Holy Lordy, what time is it? Wow. A thumbs up, please. Thanks, Bets. I appreciate that. One of our moderators says if you guys can hit the thumbs up button, greatly appreciate it. Thank you, Bets. God bless you. Or were we? Oh, okay. Well, we're back. Why the administration is now moving kind of forward. So for years, critics of pediatric gender medicine were dismissed as kind of fringe. And that's no longer true. In just a few years, several European countries, including Sweden, Finland, and the UK, have scaled back or restricted puberty blockers for minors. Medical Review Board, abroad rather, increasingly cited insufficient long-term data, especially around mental health outcomes and reversibility claims. Oh, you mean there wasn't really ironclad data on the long-term effects of you getting puberty blockers and hormone enhancers to children and how that would affect them? Didn't we cover this with COVID, by the way? It was the last week we went into pretty big detail on how all this stuff with RFK Jr. is now pushing back on like the World Health Organization and NIH and and all these 3-letter agencies on the crap that they pulled, where there was no real data. They tested on 8 mice and like, okay, let's give it to the entire population. Things are good with these COVID boosters. If you haven't seen that episode, you got to go back like I think it was last week or whatever. That's why you want to show up here in each and every day, because we give you the news. We'll give you the good stuff. Lawsuits from detransitioners is also taking effect, because it turns out some people, when their brain fully develops, they go, oopsie. And this is what they look like, unfortunately. I have it here for you. Okay, come here, guys. This is what they look like. Do you see anything hanging? Yes, this is the State Puff Marshmallow Man. You might have to put me on big screen. Do you see anything between that legs? That's what they look like now. Okay, some of you already look like this. You're just called ladies. And not to get too graphic, sometimes it's noticeable, okay? We don't need to get graphic here. And, some of us have this badunkadunk. Now, we don't throw this out there too often, folks, okay? There you go. There's a little booty, a little twerk for you. Yeah, we don't throw around the booty too often. That says, Brad, when I was young, just out of the military, I was a manager of a Burger King. I told a young lady to take out the trash, and she said, I don't do trash. And I said, you don't work here anymore. There you go. If your boss, if it's unethical, there's a different story there. But again, we're talking in general. If your boss says jump, you're supposed to say how high. You don't ask questions. If your boss tells you to do something, you do it. But these kids talk back all the time. Well, why? Oh, do I have to? That's the generation you're coming into. And it's bad, man. I have so many stories of people getting employed and hired. That's like, Dave says, Brad, did you just call me fat? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Oh, boy, you guys are too much. By the way, if you're new here, hit that like button. We would love to give you a shout out in the chat. I know you're lurking and you're just listening. I totally get that. But if you're new here, even if you've been only here for like a month or something, let us know in the chat. We'd love to give you a shout out. There's a lot of people in here, a lot of regulars that would love to, get to know you. Just your username. That's all. And we'd love to, embrace you. So that's going on. Now, what hospitals are really deciding here is the financial choice that they want to make. Most major hospitals cannot survive without Medicare and Medicaid funding. Those programs account for huge portions of operating revenue, especially for children's hospitals. So while activists may frame this as Trump banning care, what's actually happening is far more pragmatic. Hospital boards are now asking, is this worth losing federal funding? Because it's all about the moolah, the cheddar, the cheese. E.T. is... Handpick Wave. What's up, ET? I love that. And by the way, we're huge. You should check out Spooky Adventures, by the way, if you're into extraterrestrials, and the paranormal. We have a whole nother show that we do. And for many institutions in turning to federal funding, because they rely so much on it, the answer is going to be obviously no. They're not going to deal with it, regardless of ideology. At some point, money talks. But at some point, like we've seen, we got to be careful here, because these we're just going to call them the left, because that's what they are. The left will destroy your company. They'll destroy your hospital. They don't care. And how do we know this? Look at Disney. Their whole entertainment, the reason why Disney's doing well still is because their park revenue is so good. Their entertainment is going garbage. They will drive your entertainment industry down. And they're also doing the same thing with the parks, by the way. That whole handling is gone. Disney is completely in shambles. Somebody needs to rework that big time. Hello, Brad and everyone. What's going on, Dan? Hey, Dan. Everyone's saying hi. I love that. Someone gifted a membership to me a month ago. Just want to say thanks for a warm welcome. Hey, appreciate that, Sam. Thanks for being here. I love that. Expect the usual responses. So here we go. There'll be claims that they're going to endanger children, right? This putting people's lives at risk. Lawsuits arguing federal overreach, media stories focusing on the worst case hypotheticals. But notice what's missing from most criticism is a defense of why taxpayers like you and I must fund these treatments, especially when long-term outcomes are still disputed. I'm really I understand why we have taxes and how they're supposed to function. But I think for like the basic taxes, there's no need to really change a lot of it. But for all these programs, I really do think that the American citizen is not willing to give up a lot of their paycheck for a lot of these programs. And you've heard me mention this before. We have the technology to have people, when they're doing their taxes, check a box. We have the software for this, or somebody can develop it, where, hey, all you need to do is check a box, and at the end of the thing, it will calculate everything it needs based on the numbers and the budgeting and all that stuff. If you want to pay for transing minor kids, you should just check a box on your tax return. You might look, people already say taxes are tough anyways. Hey, just have a laundry list of things that you have to click on the federal after the 1040, just a bunch of clicks on all these softwares. Hey, do you want to fund illegal immigration? Let's see how many Democrats and progressive left actually put their money where their mouth is. I guarantee you they won't have enough funding for it. A lot of programs in the government, zero, nothing. Hey, do you want to send money to this country? Guess what? A lot of people aren't going to do it. Can you put a link to your other podcast, the spooky one, please? Absolutely, I can. I would love to. I'm glad you asked, actually. I'm telling you, a lot of people would not. If people are like, well, Brad, would you put your money for the border wall? Absolutely, I would. Oh, yeah. I have no problem checking that box for Border Patrol, for, some of these agencies. Absolutely. Yeah, I have no qualms because national security. There's a link to Spooky Adventures. I just posted. It might take a little bit to kind of get out there, but that's for everybody. Subscribe. We're also on TikTok on Spooky Adventures too. Jeff says you would still have to enter and calculate the numbers to reflect. You have other forms to fill out before it goes to 1040. Yeah, that's true. That's what I mean. It'll be able to calculate on the back end. And even then, those numbers, the reason why I said you're not going to reach that goal is because people aren't going to choose it. So you might say, oh, I need $10 billion. People are filing at different moments in time. So that calculation has to be based on some sort of study, and it's going to fluctuate year over year. It's going to take a little bit of time to kind of get it dialed in, because usually things don't change all that much, right, in terms of what people do and don't do. I mean, that's why, right, you would know this in auditing, is that you tend to do that percentage of change, that delta from year over year, to see kind of what the anomalies were and to see what kind of stands out to ask questions about when you're auditing a company. So you would have to have, there is some differences in terms of, we were projecting, $10 billion of people to click that button or something. I'm being silly. Oh, well, it turns out, people don't want to put their money where their mouth is. You only got $2 billion. Well, guess what's going to happen to that program? It ain't being funded. And that taxation has to, be like, it just has to be that way. It has to be almost like a fixed amount of what you want to contribute, because it'd be variable in terms of when you file. Some people file in early January, some people file February, right? Some people do extensions. You can't fluctuate it that way with the software. I honestly, I think you could in a way, but some people would be paying more than others. You could just make it a fixed amount, and it turns out it ain't going to be funded. That's the purpose I'm trying to make here. It still wouldn't be funded. But yeah, the 1040 is the summary. Everything flows into that. There'd have to be another thing. Yeah. Alrighty. So anyways, that's there. Great job on Trump. Appreciate him doing the great work. The other thing here that's it's going to be interesting because Donald Trump's been talking about getting a new Fed chair in, and he kind of said that in his speech the other day. Brad, could you post something when you're not doing a show? Brad, could you post something? What do you mean by that? You want me to do like kind of like what we did with the California thing? Like you want me to post like videos? What I think you're referring to, RJ, is and I'm guessing you gotta let me know in the chat. Is before when we did a show, like I used to do a morning show and we would either do it live or it would be pre-recorded, right? We'd upload it. But then I would also have about three videos after that throughout the day. Like I'd post a video at 10 a.m., then I'd post a video at 12, and then I'd post a video at 2 and maybe at 5 or something like that. And those were shorter videos. They're like 8 to 12 minutes long and they go over some sort of news story and we kind of break just an individual story down that way. I think that's what you might be referring to, but I'm not 100% sure. I want to see if I can get back into that in the new year. So we're kind of moving some things around, shuffling some things. We'll still have the live show, but that's the goal. And that's why I think we kind of put a pause on a lot of things because I was experimenting with some things and that's what you have to do. So there's some years you're going to take a hit with experimentation. There's some years not. I wanted to see what YouTube was willing to do and allow my channel to do. So we're going to do some more experimentation next year and see what they're willing to do with the channel. So this year was kind of, that's why we just kind of put a pause. Yeah, we hit 100,000. We got the plaque and stuff like that. That was the goal for this year. But we'll kind of see. We'll make new goals for next year. By the way, you guys, if I want to be clear, if I wanted to hit 1 million subscribers, I could do it. There's no doubt in my mind. Like I know YouTube, Rumble, I know all these platforms like the back of my hand. I do this as a hobby. This is not my full-time job. I know that you guys know that. If I wanted to hit 1 million subscribers, I could do it. I know how to do it. The question is that how many of those subscribers would actually want to watch? Are they going to be engaged and all those other things? So it's not a matter of like if, it's just a matter of when and how much time and effort do I want to put into it. Like there's no question. I'm not like that with a lot of things. Like, oh, would I be able to do it? I would be able to do it. I'm actually confident that I could hit probably another 100,000 subscribers every single year. But it's just the time, man, the time commitments. I am spread thin. And what does it matter having 100,000 or 200,000 or 1 million? It doesn't matter. As long as you're having fun. It's a hobby. I'm having fun here. The problem with all these human videos is they're being buried by AI videos. Yeah. When you're busy and can't do dark MAGA, I had my popcorn all set last night. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, man. Yeah, I was ready for last night too, but just, I got to take care of things here and work and stuff. Pay promotion get expensive. Yeah. Well, we haven't done paid promotions because YouTube won't allow me. Don't get me going. You guys are trying to rile me up. I know what you're doing. You're trying to get a rant out of me. They won't allow me to promote. They'll promote my videos, but they send it to bots. It's a bunch of bot accounts. So that's one thing you have to be careful with your money. So anyways, all right. We'll figure that out for next year. I got a lot of plans for next year. Inflation cools and the narrative cracks here. Inflation missed the mark by a lot. Here we go. This is one of those economic reports that lands like a quiet bombshell, baby. The media don't want to talk about it. Of course not. Because for months, Americans were told, brace for the pain. Donald Trump's going to destroy the economy. We're all going to go into a depression. And if that doesn't happen, a recession. We were all told this, dude. We were told the doom and gloom, the fear mongering, the BS for months. For months. Americans were told to brace for pain, high prices, sticky inflation, no real relief in sight. And then the numbers come in, man. And blew past expectations, and it went in the opposite direction. It's the report that no one expected. November's consumer price index shows inflation cooled sharply, defying nearly every major forecast. Here's what economists projected. Gotta listen to the experts, huh? You got to follow the science, the PhDs, the know-hows, whatever the hell Trump says. Okay, so these economists predicted 3.1% month-over-month inflation. Not even close. Not even close, baby. It was 2.7%. And that's not a rounding error, by the way. This is a big enough to change political conversation. And Trump needs to talk about this on his tours going forward. Because again, The reason why we need to blast this out using our show and for you to share like this idea with your friends and family is because we need to help Donald Trump change the perception of how Americans feel with this affordability. Things are not going to change really. Okay, inflation went up 2.7%. It's not like things are going to get cheaper. That's not going to happen. But we could stagnate it and diminish kind of how much that inflation is affecting things. You usually want it between 1% and 3%. Okay, that's always normal. The inflation isn't inherently bad. You need things to inflate and grow. The question is how much and how much is healthy. But because people are not feeling this affordability, stuff like this, even if you project this and you say, oh, well, it's 2.7%, that doesn't mean anything to people. Most people don't know numbers. They're not able to kind of make meaning from that and that's a good thing and how the outgrowths of that actually affect their lives because the decisions that they make sometimes offset the good in which what's happening in the economy. So if you're spending more money here, well, regardless of whether inflation cools or not, you're still spending more money than what you were before. Well, you're not going to feel the effects. You got a budget. You got to make sure those personal finances are in order. This was the first CPI report since September. October's data never came because of the federal shutdown, which meant pressure was mounting, meaning people didn't really know what was going to happen. The core numbers is the real story here. The headline, inflation always gets attention, but core CPI, which removes volatile items like food and gas, is what policymakers and investors really watch. In November, core CPI came in at 2.6%, the lowest level since March of 2021. That matters because core inflation is the hardest to tame. It reflects structural price pressure. Rent services like labor costs is another example, and those pressures are finally easing. Context the media can't ignore here. If you zoom out and if you look at inflation, if you recall, it peaked at 9.1% in 2022. We all remember that one, 40-year high. That happened under Joe Biden. That spike crushed affordability and reshaped American politics. And that's exactly what's going to be going forward here in the midterms is all about affordability. I kept you guys about a week, 2 weeks max ahead of the news cycle. And now it's what you always constantly see is affordability. Well, now we're looking at numbers not seen in nearly 4 years. And that doesn't mean prices magically went down, but it does mean that prices are rising more slowly. And again, I know I mentioned this a lot and I'm a big repeater, but it's important. The goal here was to stagnate the prices and hopefully get those wages up so Americans do feel affordability. The market's doing well. I'm sure, 4 years ago till now, your retirement should be up as a whole. Your 401k, your 403bs, your Roth IRAs, your traditional IRAs, all that stuff. Your individuals. I mean, it's a big, massive shift. And markets react immediately. Investors didn't wait for pundits to weigh in. As soon as the report dropped, what you saw was the Dow surge, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ climbed. Markets are forward looking, and this report signaled less pressure on interest rates. There's more room for growth, and that's important, and a softer landing than feared. What we're kind of expecting is maybe a quarter of a point from the Federal Reserve again, but also this kind of eases that idea of the artificial intelligence investments that are being made. Remember, we covered this, that the artificial investments that are being made aren't seeing the return that people are hoping for. And I think it was somewhere in the realm of like a 95% of the AI investments that are being made on behalf of these corporations aren't actually seeing a return on their investment. That's going to hurt your growth because you're putting a lot of money here where maybe you should be putting a lot of money over here. And now there's a little bit of uncertainty of where AI is going because people aren't seeing kind of the fruit of that investment. So there is a little bit of that kind of pressure that's taking place and that uncertainty on top of, again, a multivariate analysis of where you have those tariffs that are in place. Hate to say it, you guys, when you're uncertain of how tariffs and what Donald Trump is going to do, that is great for kind of foreign policy. And obviously tariffs, according to Trump and others, yes, it has an element of definitely foreign policy in there. But when you're uncertain of how things are going to function because you're kind of, I don't want to say Trump's a loose cannon, but you're kind of shooting from the hip here or there, not saying there isn't strategy behind it or some sort of meaningful kind of projection and forecast of what his ideas are with the tariffs. That's not what I'm saying. I am saying that it's a little bit too loosey-goosey of like, oh, we're going to do this. Oh, well, then I'm going to retract it. Well, we're going to do this. Then I'm going to retract it. When you're in business, that is very difficult to project how some sort of outside influence is going to affect your business and you trying to make the necessary precautions. What you're going to do is you're going to retract. You're going to go, okay, well, we're going to kind of pause what we're going to do here. We're going to slow down and we're going to brace for the possibility of some sort of negative effect. Basically, that phrase that we all use in our individual lives is that you prepare for the worst and you hope for the best. Businesses are going to do the exact same things. They're going to retract and go, hey, hold on a second. Well, we need to survive here. We don't know what's really going to happen. Let's kind of pull back a second. We're going to kind of stagnate things ourselves and maybe ease the pressure and kind of just see what's going to happen. And you have that on a pretty big scale. That's my opinion. You know, like I'm probably wrong, but that's what I think is happening. Why this is political dynamite? Well, as you can imagine, I've already kind of led you to that thinking of affordability. For months, Democrats have hammered President Trump on affordability. Republicans, meanwhile, have argued inflation is easing and policies are working. The report gives the White House something it desperately needed: data to back up the claim. The issue, again, is that speaks to all of us, conservatives, Republicans, independents. It does not speak to the party that runs off emotions. That's the issue. And again, the party that runs on emotions, and this happens even with the Republican Party, when you're dealing with personal finance, people will make their own irrational decisions and blame it on somebody else. There's an entire industry called behavioral economics. There's an entire space out there for this whole thinking of it used to, what we call it in the finance realm and economics realm is the stupid things people do with money. That is behavioral economics. The stupid things people do with money. And what they'll do through this behavior, and we talked about it on the show, is that whenever they do something stupid, rather than looking at themselves for their own stupid behavior, they will automatically look at some nameless, faceless, shadowy figure out there in the world, and they'll blame them for the decision making that they did, because it's a lot easier to blame somebody else that caused your problems than you yourself. Because once you have to look at your inside and change yourself, well, now it gets hard. And now you're struggling. And for a lot of us that are religious, when we're dealing with sin and you have to look on the inside, you can't blame God. You can't blame somebody else. Now, somebody else might have helped you stumble, but at the end of the day, you're the one that was pushed and nudged by evil to ultimately commit that sin. So now you have to reflect on yourself. And that's why the Lord says, remember in the scriptures. And you have to clean yourself with the word of God. You have to scrub that sinful, gross crap off your body. And that takes change. And that takes effort. And that is not easy, because you're battling with sin and you're battling with evil forces each and every day. Well, that flows in from a religious view to a secular view of, well, now you have to battle with yourself and gripe with your own decision making. Now your own stupid behavior has been exposed, and now you have to clean up the mess. And people don't like cleaning up messes because it takes a lot of effort and it ain't fun. And I deal with that. Look, I ain't holier than thou. I've always said I ain't better than the rest of you. I'm worse than the rest of you. You guys are probably way better people than I am. I'm an idiot. I'm a knucklehead. I ain't any better. I just have a camera, microphone. I love hanging out with good people such as yourselves, the Patriots. I love the community we have here. I get along with you guys, and you guys, you allow me in and hang out with you. And I always appreciate that. People are not going to resonate with the claim of the 2.7% because they don't feel it. It's happening, but they're not feeling it. And that's not always the White House's fault. By the way, it's not even always Joey's fault. And I've always said this. You have to be careful with who you're blaming here. Maybe some of this does actually affect you as an individual. Well, at that point, there's blame to be had. Most of the time, not really. The administration didn't hesitate to take a victory lap from its messaging. So when inflation cools faster, the experts predict the burden of proof shifts. And the Democrats are going to try to spin it, right? They're going to try to say, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. All you need to do is keep reminding people of what it was like under Joey, the 9.1%, the prices of home, the long term. But again, it only does so much. It really does. All righty, let's get into some other news here, folks, with all of you. By the way, thanks for hanging out with me, guys. I know I say it all the time. Please don't. I'm not bullying you, I'm not BSing you. We have the best community. We really do. We really, really do. Let's get to this really quick. Because the holiday season, man, you got 6 days and you could still do it. You could still do it. I know some of you are having a tough time looking for a gift. You're not sure what to get. You want to give them a banger. You want to give them a big one. Well, look, if you're still scrambling for a Christmas gift, you need to hear this. Our friends at Chicago Steak Company extending free shipping for Christmas delivery. Yes, you heard that correctly, but their warehouse just told us they're down to the last few slots. We said this yesterday as well. They got a few more open. mychicagosteaks.com/rumble. You can use the code here. It's somewhere over here. It's this way. That way, right there. Give your loved ones the top 2% of beef in America, USDA Prime and Premium Angus, hand cut by master butchers. The marbling on these things are insane. They're so good when it hits the hot pan, the whole house fills with that smell. And I always have to swallow because my mouth starts salivating when I hear this, because you all know what I'm talking about. The sound and the smell of that buttery meat goodness. And then you could be in a whole nother part of the house. You could be in the backyard and you're just smelling it, and it just wafting. You got to come in. It's called the kitchen for everyone. It's the call to the kitchen that everyone comes and joins around. Spend $229 and they'll throw in 6 free ribeyes plus free shipping. Yes, you heard that correctly. Plus free shipping. $240 in premium steak on the house. Your gift shows up in a black and gold box. And when you open it up on Christmas, it's going to look like a whole like magician thing with all this dry ice smoke pouring out. It's going to be a whole event. You crack it open, the vapor rolls out, you get that instant Christmas morning vibes. The kids are going to lose it because they think something cool's happening, and it is, because there's some premium steak in there. Give them something they'll ask for next year. Don't wait on this. The warehouse is on the line. mychicagosteak.com/rumble. Again, that's mychicagosteak.com/rumble. Code RUMBLE, RUMBLE, and get that, man. I'm telling you that you need a gift that nobody's going to complain about. Everybody around is going to be looking at it like, we're having steak? Right? Even though it's not for them, everybody's going to be like, we're having steak? And what a great Christmas idea. You get somebody a gift and you go put that on the sizzler. And now you got steak rolling in for Christmas for everybody. I love that. All right. Well, here's some news from CNN. You always love when a CNN gives you some news that they hate talking about.
Voters feeling about Democrats right now?
Yeah, I mean, Democrats in the minds of the American public are lower than the Dead Sea. What are we talking about here? Well, let's take a look. The net approval rating for Democrats in Congress, you said it, Kate Baldwin, the lowest ever. Look at this. Overall, they are 55 points underwater. Their approval rating is south of 20%. It's even worse when you look at independents. Look at this. Negative 61 points. That means that their approval rating is 61 points lower than their disapproval rating. Quinnipiac has been polling this question for the better part of the 21st century. They have never found.
Dude, I love this guy. He's a little weird. He's an odd duck. But he really does just like, y'all remember the movie The Patriot with Mel Gibson? And at the end, he takes the bayonet and he puts it like right in the guy, but he doesn't just put it in him. He like twists it and then he pulls it out, which just makes it worse. This is what this guy does, right? He's already kicking you while you're down. He puts the bayonet in you and then he just twists it. Oh, well, they've been tracking this for the better part of a century. That's the twist and pull. You know what I mean? It's the worst we've ever seen.
Democrats, at least those in Congress, in worse shape than they are right now.
How are voters feeling about?
Oh my God, I love it. Incredible. Just incredible. Oh, CNN just having to admit this. I mean, it's a rough one for Democrats. But here's the thing. It's pretty rough for Republicans as well. I mean, we're not looking good for the midterms by any measure, man. If you think there's going to be a landslide, I wish there was. Right now, it ain't looking that way. It ain't looking good for us. Unless Donald Trump can change public perception, which is possible, things need to happen very, very quickly. And you got an affordability problem for a lot of Americans. Alrighty, let's see what else we have here in the news. We can go a little bit longer today, just a little bit. Let's see what we have in the chat. Getting that iron up isn't easy on the digestive system. Yes, I definitely take iron supplements myself. And it's something I think I have. She's had 3 transfusions. Oh, geez, the doc is fixed the bleed before and said it could come back in 2009. Well, I hope whatever we're talking about, I hope whoever this is concerning is okay in the chat. I'm trying to get to some other news here. There's a lot of stuff. Do you guys want to know something crazy? I'll let you guys in on this. Well, there's only one person that knew about this yesterday, and I had to decline it, unfortunately. So, and by the way, let me see if actually they reached out again. Hold on a second. There was for the long time show, it's so yesterday after our show, TMZ reached out and wanted me for a segment, which was pretty funny. So the second I got off the show, I have to go get dressed for work and all these things. And I look at my phone and TMZ reached out and they wanted to do a segment yesterday. And I couldn't do it with timing. If I would have done it if I wasn't at work, but I'm not going to ditch work for that. But Yeah, I thought you guys would find that pretty interesting and pretty funny because we're such a small show. You know what I mean? Like we really are. You get 1,000 views. I mean, there's people. Yes, people get like 10,000 views per video. We don't pull those numbers even remotely close. But it's weird because, we'll be on said podcast, and you guys are the ones that let me know, right? We've been on technically Sean Ryan's podcast before. Technically, we've been on ABL's radio show, which I called in for that. We've done Instagrams with Officer Tatum before, talking about scriptures. We've been on James O'Keefe's Project Veritas on a positive note. I always have to throw that in there whenever I say, oh yeah, I was on Project Veritas. We're highlighted on that. But, you don't ever really want to be highlighted on Project Veritas or James O'Keefe stuff because usually that means something negative about you. But this one was actually a positive thing for us because we were exposing a lot of stuff that was happening with teachers and the education on the campuses, messing with kids. And then, now we were offered TMZ. They wanted to talk about oh God, why am I blanking on their names all of a sudden? The murder of, oh my gosh. I can't believe I'm blanking on their names all of a sudden. That's terrible. The murder of the Hollywood director and his wife. I can't believe I'm blanking on the names. That's incredible. I actually was doing a bunch of research on it yesterday. Rob and Michelle Reiner, the Reiner family. And I did a TikTok video on it, and they wanted to talk about that. I have a feeling that they wanted to do a political spin on it, was my guess, because of Donald Trump's tweet. But if you guys were curious, I was not. If you were curious on what my defense was for Donald Trump's tweet, I didn't have one. I would not defend Donald Trump's tweet. That was a really stupid thing to say about Rob Reiner. Because obviously on those types of things, you have to give your opinion, right? If you guys, and I say this all the time, I very rarely actually give my opinion here on the show. But on something like that, you'd have to give your opinion. That is not a defensible tweet that Donald Trump did about Rob Reiner. Again, there's a separation between politics here. People can say whatever they want. They can say whatever heinous, nasty stuff they want. I still don't wish them any ill will. You don't come out and say something like that about somebody. So, I think the guy did amazing things for Hollywood. He has some very historical films that will live on, obviously forever. And, he was a great director. I think he was a phenomenal actor. He was so funny in some of his stuff. And also he does a great dramatic role. So I didn't have anything negative really to say, but I had some backup stuff that I'll keep to myself if that was to happen. So James O'Keefe is a beast. I love him. Yeah, James O'Keefe is pretty awesome. No clue on the spelling. Rebound, keep short accounts. Meathead. Yeah, so anyways, I thought you guys would find that fun. Nothing happened, but yeah, it would have happened at roughly like 10:30 yesterday was when the time slot was, but I couldn't make that work. So I told them, I say, hey, if you got something else in the future you want to have me on, I'm more than happy to jump on with you and do a quick segment. So if they want to reach out, they will. If they don't, that's okay. That was cool. It was a big nod. Like it was very surprising because, like I mentioned, we do get people that do reach out. There's even people that I don't tell you guys about that will reach out personally. And just sometimes you're able to make it, sometimes you're not. And that's the tough thing about not doing this full time. I have to decline a lot of stuff because I work. This is just a hobby. And I don't feel bad for having to decline because it's not my job. If it was my job, then I'd be all doing this show. I'd be doing this show. I'd be out late at night doing that show, doing that podcast. It's not my job. It's just purely for fun. This is just purely for, some would say shits and giggles. And if we got shut down, then we get shut down. We don't do the show. It's just for fun. Name your known sins and the Lord is quick to forgive all sins. Quick and hopefully remember no more. Of course, not happy with President Trump giving something free reign over America data for the next 10 years. What is that? Palantir? Oh, interesting. I'll have to look into that. I did not know that. Interesting. He definitely can be pompous. Yeah, but that's it's not surprising. It's just when we all know this, he says stupid stuff every now and then. All of us do. There's no judgment on my part of Trump saying it. I'm not like, the guy, it was an asshole thing to say. It was stupid in my opinion, but not everybody shares that same opinion. Some people think Rob has said some terrible things in the past, and truthfully, he has said some silly things about MAGA. Here's what's crazy to me. There's people in the chat that are definitely hypocritical because I see the things that you guys say about the left Democrat Party. But then when Rob Reiner says something about MAGA, it's like, oh, well, how could he say that? It's like, bro, have you not thought about your own words and the stuff that you've said online or like you've said in my chat about people? Like, come on. So I don't judge Trump. I just think he shouldn't have done it. And especially as a president, that's not something you promote, especially when, there's people already targeting conservatives and Republicans. You kind of throw a little bit of fuel on the fire. And even if you did have those thoughts, it's not something you say publicly, right? Especially when you have the loudest megaphone in the entire world. There's just sometimes you just keep that reserved. So yeah, it's not something I would have defended by any means. It was stupid. I did watch Rob say some terrible things about Donald Trump. Yeah, he did. Donald Trump Jr. was Hollywood as well, so I can't say what bad blood they had between. Yeah, but regardless, there's a time and place for that, right? I mean, the guy got schmurdered, dude, by his own son. And it was a heinous, awful, ugly, terrible thing that happened to him. You don't come out like the same day or the next day and just throw out like some shade on the guy. At the best case is you wait a long time to say some stupid stuff. That way everybody softens it. The blow's not as bad. I still don't think you should say it regardless. But if you're going to do it, like, bro, don't say it like then. Like, wait some time, or keep it to yourself. Exactly. I would have kept to myself. He's gone. Yeah. But at the same time, we've all said that Donald Trump talks too much. He needs to just shut up. He's done great this term. His first term, he talked way too much. Shut up, Trump. I love you. I voted for you 3 times. You could say these things about people you love. You really can. I mean, we say this about our friends and family all the time. Like, yeah, they talk too much. They don't shut up. They spew a bunch of garbage. You still love them. You care about them. You're just like, you're voicing your opinion. Schmaka says, agree, people/kids are supposed to look up to their president. He should have some restraint of his words. Yes, he should. But again, it's at the same time, and I'm not building a case for him. I'm just saying that we kind of know how the guy is. He's a rough New Yorker, and he's going to say whatever he wants to say, and you just got to move on. You can't dwell on it. You know what I mean? The guy's going to say what he wants to say. I'm sure the next president will be more reserved, as they should be, and you got to move on. But no, yeah, he shouldn't be talking like that. There's a lot of things he shouldn't be saying. I find it funny. That I don't. With the Rob Reiner situation, I thought was stupid. But some of the stuff I do find funny just because I'm like, oh, well, I can't believe he said that. That's pretty crazy. And I laugh at everything. So I find everything comedic, even when I shouldn't. But the Rob Reiner thing I thought was too far. And he's not going to apologize. Even if you say, I think you should apologize, Mr. President, he's not going to. He never apologizes. And you just know that about him. Just because they were hateful towards Charlie doesn't mean we should be like them. Correct. Yeah, you got to be the higher ground a little bit here. That judge violated UFC. What's going on, guys? And Jeff, what's going on, Disney? Craig, I've taken a few grinders for assault and a lot of water. Thanks for what's going on. Propaganda piece, that is. Did you see the interview with Reiner, Clapper, and Brennan? I did not. Alrighty, well, we're going to end the show here. Appreciate all of you. If I missed something, I apologize. There's still a lot of news out there. But make sure you check out AmFest with Charlie Kirk's organization, Turning Point USA. They had Erica Kirk yesterday, Ben Shapiro. So Erica Kirk, Ben Shapiro kind of led the brigade on their speeches. I heard Ben kind of went pretty hard in the paint, which, that's what Ben does. That's what we love him for. And then I believe Michael Knowles has a speech as well, either coming up today or that did happen already. So make sure you check them out. Show them some love. Turning Point USA still trying to push, great conservative thought and values to people, especially our youth. And thank you to everybody that hits the like button. By the way, thank you to everybody that donates at baldbrad.com. I always have to self-promote. We don't have any real sponsors here other than what Rumble provides. If you hit the donation tab up at the top, matter of fact, I'll give you the direct link. It is the holiday season. If you feel like you get a lot out of the show and you want to make a donation, we get 97 cents of every dollar. So they take 3 cents of every dollar. YouTube takes like 30, 35 cents of every dollar. We get almost all your money that's sent here, which is great. It goes directly to the show. None of it is spent on personal stuff. It would be spent on like a new lens. We're still in need of a new keyboard, stuff like that. I'm not asking to donate if you want to, if you feel like it. Some people bag and stuff. I think that's wrong. It's your hard-earned money. Even if it's $2, always appreciate your kindness. But it all goes back in the show, what I'm saying. It would go back in the advertisement if we were to do that. None of it goes into like a personal vacation, unless you specify. Some people say, hey, Brad, get a cup of coffee on me, $5. I actually use that for a cup of coffee. Then at Starbucks, I get a cold brew. Danielle, for example, and others donated for headphones. We will be getting new headphones soon. We already have that slot open. So all this stuff gets organized, and you're talking to an accountant here. And we make sure we put it back into the show. So any money that is not donated that I make on the show, just so you know, that does go into me, my personal, like TikTok, for example. That's none of your money for that goes into TikTok. TikTok is self-funded. There's certain things that are self-funded from the show that we make. That money, of course, goes to me. But all your donation money goes back into the show. We do not spend your hard-earned money on my personal leisure and stuff like that. That doesn't work that way. I want to make that clear. Some people do that. Like, oh, your hard-earned money goes in the show. Well, that buys pizza for everybody. Not here. Not here. No. And nor should it. That's kind of effed up. You're working hard for somebody else's leisure and fun. No. That goes back into the show. Brad, you should make an Amazon wish list. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just not that type of guy. Like, I'm very cheap, man. Like, I can't really think. The only thing my wife bought some stuff. Like, I'm trying to think. Like, most of the stuff we've had here, we've kept. Like, the only stuff I've bought for the show is just because the stuff has gone out. We use it every day for 5 years. It just goes out. Like, we've got to get a new camera. The camera stopped working. I still have it. Trying to think. We had to get a new computer because the computer I had before went out. But other than that, we got a new lens. The new lens was the only thing I think we bought this year, really. I'm trying to think. That was pretty much it. Other than that, we've been running on fumes here for a while. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not. You guys know what I mean? Because sometimes when I say phrases, you guys start throwing money, and it's not what I'm trying to do. But we MacGyver this. We definitely MacGyver. Like this light I have right here is only like $20, maybe not even 20. I bought off Amazon freaking like Black Friday like 5 years ago. Let me tell you, this thing flickers every now and then. But that's why it's hard for me to read because I have the light like 2 feet from my face and it's bright as hell. And I got the monitors. I'm like, what does that word say? Freaking light shining in my face. Other channels do this. Yeah. I don't, and truthfully, man, I don't really have much of a wish list. I get by with what I got. And we've had the same mug since I've started, and it still has that same crack in it. You guys can actually see the crack still when I dropped it off my counter. This is the only Bald Brad Show mug I have. I don't know. Same hat for the last 5 years. I'm a simple guy, my friend. My wish list is for you guys to have a blessed Christmas. My wish is that you guys feel like you're getting enjoyment out of the show. And I'm being hand to God. I'm not being silly. I hope you guys get enjoyment out of the show and you guys have fun with me and that you continue to, continue this hobby with me and always show up and just have fun when you can. That's my wish list. And I mean that genuinely and seriously. If I made no money in the show, my hope is that you guys would still be here and have a good time. Even if you spent your donations on pizza, everyone is fine with it. Yeah, I'm sure you guys would. Yeah, but I can't do that, dude. You guys know this. I'm a cheap ass and I can't even, like, for example, I came home and had, I'm telling you this. So instead I have money, right? I'm just very, very cheap with my money. I budget everything. I don't spend it if I can't rationalize it. And, so I got off work early yesterday. I was like, oh, maybe I'll go get myself some fast food or something. Like, I'll get in and out every now and then for sure. I just could not rationalize it. Even though it's like, I know I deserve it. I don't ever really go out for fast food too often. Like, I deserve it. People in my life tell me all the time. And I came home and I had rice and 3 eggs. I had white rice and 3 eggs, 2 or 3 eggs. Yep. Put a little pinch of salt and pepper. And that's what I ate for lunch yesterday. And it was fine. I went on, but it's just the type of person I am. That it's just not going to change. So I know you guys would be cool with like me spending money on certain things. It's just not the type of, it just sounds like BS when I say this, but you guys, even if you're donating $1, the way I look for it is like somebody worked hard for that $1. I know what it's like scrubbing floors or cleaning toilets. I'm not saying you guys do that, but you guys working for your money, that could go somewhere else and you're giving it to a guy on the internet. I shouldn't be spending that and splurging it on something frivolous, like buying pizza for something you worked hard for. It should go into something that's going to last, like a camera lens. This camera lens is going to last me years. That's where your hard-earned money should go, where it's going to get some actual like oomph out of it, That's the way I look at it. It's like, or a new keyboard or something. This keyboard's actually going out. You know what that beeping was? I actually turned it off. That beeping, I think, was my keyboard or my mouse going out. My mouse is also going. You use it all the time, so I prefer to eat at home as well. Yeah, especially when there's a good cook. But I lied. Actually, it was 3 eggs, white rice, and I toasted a piece of bread. It's a hand to God true story. I was like, I don't think this is enough food, and so I actually toasted a piece of artisan bread. So I actually lied to you. Yeah, it was a white rice, a crack of salt, crack of pepper, and I did put a little bit of hot sauce in it. Give it a little bit of flavor. But anyways, yeah, that's what I had yesterday. We did that for years because OCC splurged, can't take it with you. Yeah, and it's a good meal. It's healthy. It's not bad. I actually enjoyed it. It was good. So It's just so pricey, man. You go to Panda Express, dude. It's like, God, I want to say it was almost $15. It was like 11 to 15, you know, something in that range. It's just, I don't know. I got to get rid of that thinking because it's not going to change, right? The prices aren't they're not going to go back down to pre-COVID. Even I'm in that thinking of like, I'm not going to go out. Stuff's too expensive. Are you crazy to spend $20 on a burger, fries, and a drink? That's really what it is in Southern California. I'm sorry. It's tough for me to rationalize. I can't do it. That's why I don't go to like The Habit, great burger joint, Farmer Boys. I don't go there. There's certain places I just don't go to. Why would I go spend $20 on a meal? And I see people doing this all the time. People spend a lot of money on meals. I think it's crazy, dude. I think it's nuts. If you're going to spend that much money, you should have a side gig. You know, that's why I have all these side hustles. But, you know, it's not all about me. It's not I, even though it sounds like it. Gourmet lunch there, Brad. Yeah. Well, normally my lunch, I've told you all this. Normally my lunch is 200 grams of turkey and then 100 to 200 grams of rice. It depends. And that's it. That's my lunch every single day. Legitimately, every single day. I'll go to the grocery store. It's $12.99 for 3 pounds of turkey, the 93.7. And then what I do is I cook it. I'll throw in a little taco seasoning. Those are $1 each packet. I'll throw 3 packets in. So really it's $12.99, right? Plus the $3. You're looking at $16 to give me an entire week of lunch. And the place I'm at really gives me, I have coffee for breakfast. And so I'm not spending much money each and every week. And, they give us a soup. So I'll pour a little bit of soup on my meal. That's it. Yeah, I don't go crazy. That's all I eat literally every day for lunch is 200 grams of turkey and some rice. And I'll put like one little ladle of soup on it that's provided at my work. And that gives me the flavor I need. And I eat it. And then I'll have like an Activia and stuff like that. Activia, I have a yogurt that I'll drink on the way home and a protein drink just to get my macros in. But that's really it. I don't spend a lot every single week. Less than $100. Easy. Way less than $100. Yeah. I think we only spend like really $100 a week on food, maybe. And sometimes, and that includes long-term groceries, some like paper towels will last you like almost a month on some things. Dixie dogs for your mom to feel better. Yes, prayers, definitely. Prayers in the chat. My little cousin had been in the hospital since September 27th after she ran into the back of oh my gosh, a semi truck in bright morning sun. Oh, geez, dude. And yeah, definitely prayers out for everybody. Jeez. Yeah, that's crazy. That's awful. Dixie Dog says, I grill my own burgers and they are much better than I can get out. Sometimes that's the case. I've tried like I get close to an In-N-Out burger. I found out that they grill in mustard. It's just hard to get that flavor. Especially it's hard to get the bun because their buns are so fresh from In-N-Out. They will go bad really quickly. They deliver the reason why they struggle so much with expanding because they need their distribution centers to be really close to their restaurants because everything is very, very fresh. In-N-Out to me is still a great purchase. It really is. It's man, it's good for the price. It is that good. They have one in Tennessee now, so you guys are able to get that over there. But for your $1, man, it's the best burger you can get for the price. Will you be on Monday? As of right now, it will be, yeah, unless something changes. I apologize yesterday for posting so late on TikTok. I think I posted at like 4:30. It's just when I was able to get to my phone. I was like scrambling. I was like, shoot, I got to tell them, but I wasn't able to get to it till late. So I apologize. I was giving you guys such a late notice on the on No Podcast yesterday for Dark MAGA. But you guys know how it rolls. If I'm not able to do something, you guys understand that, he's just not able to do it. But, sometimes there's that element of letting you guys down, and I definitely don't want to do that. Karen said, go have some fun. I wish. Alrighty, well, we'll be back here tomorrow. And yes, we do plan on being here Monday. And I had In-N-Out around the corner, Miss Texas. Man, In-N-Out's good. All right, well, we're going to get out of here. We got to go to work. I pray that all of you have a lovely weekend. We'll be back here Monday. At least that's the game plan as of right now, unless something changes. And appreciate all of you. Pray for this country. Pray for those in the chat. There's clearly people that need a lot of prayer, especially for healing. Have the angels come down, give the doctors wisdom. There is that idea of healing that's taking place by the angels themselves as well. So power prayer is effective. We need to make sure that we do that. Open your scriptures. Read one sentence. Read John 1:1. There you go. Or, John 9:20, was it 9:23? I think is what it is. It's, I've told you now before it happens so that when it does happen, you may believe there you go. I gave you a piece of scripture right off the top of my head. I've told you now before it happens so that when it does happen, you may believe. There you go. Luke 8:11. This is the meaning of the parable. The seed is the word of God. There's another one for you. There you go. You got two pieces of scripture right off the top of my head. That is verbatim scripture. There you go. All righty. Well, folks, take care of yourselves. God bless you. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. God bless.